Hi again, folks. Thanks for joining us here at Wave Hill for our Bird of the Day segment. My name is Brian Bradley, and I'm a falconer and educator from the Mid-Hudson Valley in New York, and came down to Wave Hill today to do a little segment on our bird of the day, which is a red-tailed hawk. This particular red-tailed hawk is a bird that I fly in the sport of falconry, which is actually going out and allowing the bird to catch natural prey. So we'll do just a little bit of an outline on falconry itself. First of all, falconry is hunting with a bird of prey. And in general terms, falconry started thousands of years ago. It's believed to have originated in China. And long ago, in primitive times, these birds were an effective, practical way to bring home fresh meat on a daily basis. Today we have it easy. If you want your food, you go to the store and you buy whatever you want. But long ago, before stores and restaurants, going out there and actively hunting was the only real way to bring home meat, and birds of prey were one of man's first hunting partners. For example, a bird like this catches certain prey in the wild. I take my red-tailed hawk, I train it or encourage it to hunt one particular or two particular types of prey, such as rabbits or squirrels. We go out into the wild. When the bird catches something, I give the bird a portion, just what it needs to survive and be healthy and fit. Now the rest of that food could go home to feed the family when times are tough. Today, obviously, I don't need it, but it allows the bird to eat an excellent natural diet, and it also helps me to feed all my other birds a natural diet as well. And I also find it fascinating how the birds perform. I've always been interested in the way they fly and the way they do their very important job in nature, so to be able to participate in that way has always been extremely exciting for me. She's called a red-tailed hawk. This is a female, by the way, and called a red-tailed hawk because, as you might be able to see if I turn her, she has a red tail. Curiously enough, in their first year, they don't have a red tail. IDing birds can be a little tricky because they will sometimes change color. In their first year, for example, a red-tailed hawk has a brown tail with dark brown stripes. After the first year, during the summer, the bird goes through a process called molting, where they actually change all of their feathers. Look at feathers as clothing. They serve a number of purposes. Like our clothing, they keep us warm when it's cold, cool when it's hot. They protect the bird from the elements like wind and sun and rain. They can camouflage a bird in certain situations. And of course, they allow a bird to fly. It can be a little tricky because although red-tailed hawks all might have a red tail, they can look a little different. Some can be much lighter, some can be much darker. Now, some of the equipment that we use in falconry, briefly, all the birds have either leather or nylon jesses that fit comfortably around their ankles, so she's attached to a leash while I'm handling her on the glove or being fed. Normally she wears a bell. She's not being flown today, so she doesn't have her bell on, but the bell helps me locate her by sound when she's out there flying around in the forest. And she, of course, is wearing the most important piece of equipment that we have, the hood. The hood is custom made to fit her head perfectly. It's lightweight, made out of leather, and all it's designed to do is to block her vision. Right now, she's a little hungry, and she's giving me the signal by tapping on the glove with her foot. So I'm going to take out some food and give it to her, and I'll remove the hood to show you how it works. I have some pieces of chicken here, which I will put in my glove, and I will loosen the straps on the hood, and off comes the hood, and she immediately gets down to eating. And I didn't mean to let her have that whole big piece, but she's going to swallow it right down. And this is actually whole young chicken, and it's important that they have whole foods in their diet for health and nutrition purposes. And she naturally spreads her wings and her tail. That's a habit that they have in the wild to basically shield their prey from the view of another predator. They're protecting their food, protecting their meal, basically. And they eat very quickly. They don't take their time and enjoy the taste of their food the way we do. Eating quickly is practical. When they're on the ground eating prey, they want to eat that food as quickly as they can and get back to the safety of the sky or the trees. Otherwise, they're vulnerable to ground predators like foxes and coyotes and so forth on the ground. If the prey is small enough, they'll simply carry it up into a tree. she's done with her meal, Hood will go back on for her ride home. Tighten it up again, and she's ready for her ride home. And Hood's important. Birds can be frightened of certain things. Even in a situation like this, if a stranger were to approach us, the bird's not going to understand who that particular person is or what their intentions are. And if she becomes stressed, I don't want her to be fearful. I want to give her positive lessons, not negative ones. So I'll put the hood on her head. Out of sight, out of mind. Immediately she calms down. People can sometimes misinterpret it and think that it's cruel to put the hood on the bird's head. It's actually the best and kindest thing I can do for the bird. They don't think the way we do. You might be suddenly frightened if somebody covered your head or you were suddenly in the dark, frightened of the unknown. The birds are the opposite. They're more frightened by what they can see than when they can't see. In the dark, she's completely relaxed. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on our next video with our next bird.